Hey, everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Christy, Lemire, Alonso, Duralde. Christy brought her tank top today.
I did?
Because Tomb Raider has been rebooted.
It's in here where it counts.
Without Angelina Jolie, but with another Academy Award winner, Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, speaking of, like, there's this whole ridiculous, like, bullshit non-story about how people think that Alicia Vikander is too flat-chested to play Lara Croft. This is the world we live in now. Right?
Well,
she was very curvaceous in the video game.
Right.
Angelina's curvaceous.
A friend of mine on Twitter made the joke, well, you know, Henry Cavill does not have a big enough dick to play Superman. It's just obvious.
There you go. But she's kind of a badass. So yeah, Alicia Vikander is now the famous video game adventurer heroine Lara Croft. She is very wealthy. She is the daughter of this globe-trotting aristocrat who's been gone for many, many years, assumed dead. And she is living a life of chic poverty as a bike messenger in East London. And then one day gets the call that perhaps there's something for her to investigate. And she goes and investigates and finds maybe her dad's not dead. Maybe he was actually onto something. It wasn't just on a bunch of business trips to boring places. Take a look.
Ladies first.
I'm not gonna give up.
Open the tube!
I'm not gonna stop her. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna work harder.
So neither of us play video games.
No, I was good at Centipede in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, no shade. I'm terrible at them. That's why I don't play them. But I did some reading up. Apparently, there was a 2013 reboot of Lara Croft Tomb Raider that is along the lines of this movie in terms of it's kind of a prequel. She's still sort of learning her way around. I don't know what the boob situation is, but nonetheless, it's, you know, it's like let's dial this character back and not make her superhuman. Let's have her sort of learn as she goes. And that's my favorite part of this movie is that, I mean, I was thinking about Die Hard in terms of an action hero who seems like a human being, who is, you know, obviously more capable than most of us, but still isn't like bulletproof and, you know, impenetrable and all that stuff. Like she, you know, the movie opens with two different sort of tests of physical skill, and she loses them both, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but those scenes also do set the groundwork. They lay the groundwork for her being resourceful,
absolutely,
and being fearless, and being tough.
Yeah.
And the things that
She's
does.
got moxie, verve.
Moxie gal. And the things that she is getting better at in those early scenes make sense later on
Absolutely.
when she has to use those same skills. And so yeah, individually in the action set pieces, it's exciting, you know, it's thrilling. Roar Uthaug is the Norwegian director who directed this.
He did The Wave.
Yes, and so, yeah, it's not really like a video game. I mean, here and there toward the end, like in the second half, you see her going through levels of like, okay, I've got to run over this thing now, and I have to hop over this thing, and now I have to go put this thing to this thing, and you see like the problem-solving techniques that take place within video games. My problem is just that it's just kind of dull.
Well, that's the thing. It starts out really promisingly, like she's interesting, and like there's this bike chase through London that's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's shot well. It's shot like all kinds of low angles and cool different angles. Yeah.
You know, it's not Premium Rush, but nothing is. But then once she sort of gets to, you know, the island where everything is happening, it just becomes another sort of big CG spectacular, and it's like just this one sort of like, you know, exquisitely crafted but completely fake set piece after another, and it's like
the ruins are very shiny and new.
Yeah, it all feels like, oh, that'll look good in the trailer, and that'll look good in the trailer, but it's not very interesting as a movie, and it feels like a letdown because they have given us this, like I said, this as an action heroine, she's interesting and vulnerable, but at the same time plucky and resourceful and brave, and you know has a stick-to-itiveness and all that stuff. But then they just kind of plug her into this like routine, like this thing and then this thing and then this thing, and it's not even like. It's not even necessarily that it's an adaptation of a video game, but it is the kind of movie that feels like a video game in that it's just like, you know, this level and then this level and this level and then the end, you know.
And then it doesn't even look that great all that often in the big set pieces. Like there's a big thing involving a boat and some rocks. Right? And it's kind of inscrutable at first, because it's at night and it's
also dark,
in the water, and it's not that, I don't know, it doesn't pop. Like there's sort of a sameness to it and a fakiness to it. And that is also true with a lot of the stuff that takes place once she raids the actual tomb. This is not a spoiler.
Yes, the tomb gets
She
raided.
is a tomb raider. It's not a metaphor. There's a tomb that gets raided. And it looked like the theme park version of this movie.
I was thinking about that constantly. Like if I was on the Tomb Raider dark ride,
Yes.
there would be like this brief moment, like, whoa, look at that thing happen, and then we're gonna move on to the next room, and then whoa, look at that thing happen, and
Look at the detail
it
in the
is totally
hieroglyphics.
it is totally like a theme park dark ride. Yes.
I was thinking about the Mummy ride at Universal Studios. It reminded me of that, in that it evokes the movie, but it's also a ride, and you can look at all the cool detail in the paneling and the tiles. So in that regard, it's not terribly immersive, but there is a superficiality to it throughout that makes it kind of hard to ultimately really get into emotionally. But having said that, she is captivating, and I kind of wish the whole movie was just about her in London as a bike messenger working through her daddy issues. I do, because she's beautiful, and she's got just this amazing presence about her, and she can really act, and she gets the shit beat out of her, but she always gets back up again.
Yeah.
And I kind of almost wish she never got on that boat.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, this movie is clearly setting up sequels. You
Oh,
know,
yes.
At the end, and I almost don't mind as long as they maybe learn what didn't work in this one, and they don't feel as tethered to sort of video game narrative in the next one, because they don't have to. Like, they've actually established this one, Lara Croft, as a character who makes sense and is interesting, and so I don't think it has to be just like the thing that it's based on, especially if that's what's keeping it from being more interesting. So yeah, if there's gonna be more Tomb Raider movies, great, but like less Tomb Raider, more Lara Croft, I guess.
Yeah, and Walton Goggins is in this, as you know, he shows up and you know
Doing
he's
the
got to
Walton
be an
Goggins
evil guy
thing.
because he's Walton Goggins. Daniel Wu has kind of an interesting presence and an
Yeah.
interesting dynamic with her. They've got a good back and forth, good chemistry. Kristen Scott Thomas shows up and classes things up for a couple of scenes.
And Derek Jacobi,
Derek Jacobi in like what, a scene.
one or two. Yeah.
All you need. It's
Paycheck.
plenty of Derek Jacobi. So I mean, yeah, it's fine. It's not a failure, but it wasn't like the thrilling adventure that you'd hope to be.
And you know, I mean, it is head and shoulders above most video game adaptations, but that's a low bar.
Yeah, they're pretty terrible. What was that really bad one with Tara Reid, and she's like a brilliant...
Oh, House of the Dead.
Is that what, yeah? It's not that bad.
Uwe Boll.
It's not in the Uwe Boll
No.
cadre.
It was better than Warcraft.
Oh, do we have to trash Duncan Jones needlessly? Poor Duncan Jones. All right, so I'm saying a 5, and a lot of that is just because Alicia Vikander is just, you know, a compelling presence.
Yeah, I give it a 5.5, mostly for that first like third to a half, and for the idea that they created an interesting Lara Croft. I just wish that they'd give her a better movie to be in.
There you go. So our number is a 5.3. It's at 47% and dropping on the tomato meter. So if you are a Lara Croft completist, I guess you got to go see this. Bye.